So here it is, it's recording. So welcome to CBOR Working Group Interim Meeting number 16. This is an IETF meeting. The IETF note well applies, and this meeting is recorded, and the presence is logged in the CodeMD link that I posted in the WebEx chat, and it is also in the agenda. Okay, so for today we have IETF 109 update. So it's just from me real quick. What's the status there? And then I run through the working group document status. Karsten, if you have some updates there, and then any other business at the end of the meeting. So for the IETF 109, I requested a session as we decided last interim, and it's going to be a 60 minutes session, and I made sure to include those working groups or that we talked about last time that were to add. But if there is anything else, please go ahead and check that if you want me to add anything else, because I can still modify it until this Friday, the session request. So yeah, but otherwise that's done. Working group document status. If you want to, do you want to start with the OID tags document, Karsten?
Yes, so 2 interims ago, we had a discussion about the tag factoring, or the recursive application of OID tags to arrays and maps. And I wrote this up, and I'm quite happy with what I wrote up. So unless there's pushback now, I would like to publish this as -01 for the working group draft.
Okay, and it's in the GitHub right now.
It's in the GitHub.
Yeah. So I guess if anybody has any comments, has had time to see it. Otherwise, go ahead. We'll get the feedback from the working group. Okay, then we had the new proposal dictionaries. That was the second topic.
Yes, so I didn't update the pack draft for quite a while now, because we hadn't quite come up with an obvious direction to go here. My objective here is to keep nicely separated the actual packing mechanics, which would be extended by suffix packing. We currently only have shared items and prefix packing, so that's one part of the proposal. And keep that separate from the question, how do the tables that go into that actually get constructed? And I think that's where the dictionaries come in, because in the end, the dictionaries have to form part of the table that is then actually used for dereferencing the various reference to shared items and prefix and suffix packing. So that is still my objective, but I haven't managed to come up with a clean way of doing this. Brendan's idea of essentially using the end of what's in the pack document as the point where the dictionaries are then added looks pretty good. It does have the disadvantage that we don't get absolutely optimal compression of the reference. So that's something where we maybe want to generate a few examples and actually do numbers before we make a decision. So that's the status there. I think we just need a few proposals that go a little bit beyond just the ideas and are fleshed out enough that we can derive these numbers. And of course, we also need a few examples, example data items that we actually put into this packing to find out how well that works out.
Sounds good. Thank you for the update. Yeah, I think we can move on to the next topic, which is 7049 bis.
Yeah, the status is that we had a couple of editorial improvements. We generated -15 based on the comments and discusses, and then we got a little bit more feedback, and there is one final pull request, number 223, I think, which I would like Paul to actually cross-check. Then when he merges that, we can submit -16, and that should be a basis for Barry to decide whether he can press the button now.
Sounds good. Great. Nothing that we need to discuss then in this pull request.
No, unless anything comes up. I mean, there's always something that may come up at any point in time, and better now than as errata.
Yeah, of course. So maybe let's give a moment to open this pull request, and let me just copy paste the link in the minutes since we have the time.
It's somewhere in the large number of tabs I have open.
Got it here. 223.
Yes. So Barry had a pretty nice restructuring of the first paragraph.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And yeah, I would assume that the RFC editor would have beat us up on that paragraph anyway. But I think it's better to have something now than to wait for the RFC editor to do it. And as far as I can see, that's the remaining pull request.
Awesome. This is great. Thank you, Karsten. I read it through and looks good, but I'm not a native speaker, so. Okay. Any other business?
So the best part of the rewrite is that it removes most of the parenthetical part. The 2 parentheticals in a row. Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that people don't like parentheses.
It's really, I think it's really hard. It represents a diversion in your thought. And I think it's really hard for non-native speakers to follow. That's my feeling, but I don't know. I imagine someone speaking it on stage and they would, kind of whisper it as an aside.
Well,
Yeah, but it's not,
I like it as a non-native speaker because I know that in theory you can just skip them and you're supposed to
yes.
understand the sentence, but if you want more context or details, then you go and read them.
So essentially the correct way to read a paragraph with parentheses is to read it twice, read it without the parentheses first, and then read it again with a parenthesis.
So I totally agree with you, and that's right. And the other reason, if we could do footnotes in RFCs, then many of them would become footnotes because that actually really makes that more clear. But I anyway, I don't think it's a good way, and I think that the parentheticals they're not. Yeah, I mean, anyway, it's a good rewrite.
Great. Thank you for reading it through. Just note that. Okay. Any other business, any other topic that we want to discuss?
Quick question. What's the deadline to get input in on the BIS document?
The deadline.
I mean, I know it's yeah. I mean, but if additional input is submitted, how fast does it need to be?
Possible.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really have an answer to that, but Carsten, what do you think when Paul will have time to merge this?
I would expect once he's woken up.
Mm.
So I would expect this to happen within the next few hours.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I mean,
and
yeah,
if there is a bug, we have to fix that bug. So there is no deadline for bugs.
Understood.
Of course. Okay. Okay. Anything else?
So what's our plan for the next interim?
Yes. The next interim is in 2 weeks, October 14th. Will we have any updates on the pact or proposal dictionaries or OID tags document?
So for the pact thing, which for me includes the dictionary discussion, I think we should have a few proposals by then, so we can discuss which direction we take. So that would be something that I would actually prefer to have time for, like on Friday, October the 9th, we want to see proposals, which we then discuss on the mailing list and then in the meeting on the 14th. So this is something where we really have to do work. It's not done yet. On the OID side, I think we are pretty much done. We could decide that what we said 4 weeks ago was not the right direction, so we would change again. But if it is the right direction, then I think we are nearing completion on the OID document.
Okay, so it needs reviews now at this point.
Yes.
So I think there was some emails about the direction change that I answered about CBOR signed versus I don't know what I call it, DER signed, but recovery. Is that the thread you're talking about?
No.
No.
The OID thing is simply the question whether we allow any tag factoring, and if yes, to what extent. And we
right
had a good discussion 4 weeks ago, and I think we have now hit the right level of complexity.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so submit the next version, and then hopefully we can get some feedback, get some reviews.
Okay.
What else? The CDDL control document.
Yeah, I still hope that I have an implementation at some point, so we can all play with it and get a better impression of whether that's what we actually want.
Okay, so we're not gonna add it to the agenda for next interim.
Well, at least let's wait until I have an implementation.
Yes. Okay, if it's only this, and hopefully we will have a celebration for 7049 bis next meeting. Or do you think there's anything else that we would like to add? So for now, it would be then the PAC document with possible proposals, multiple proposals, we don't know, and the OIDS document. We see if we can get reviews before then, so we can talk about the reviews during the meeting.
Right.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
This down. Okay. The last chance to add anything.
Thank you.
And if there's nothing else, then thank you for calling in today. Very short meeting, and talk to you in 2 weeks.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.